What's going on, everybody? Thank you all so much for tuning into this segment of Mikasa Sukasa. So, Nina Turner got asked about Joe Biden's comments referencing slavery. Um, he basically said that he had made some insensitive comments before, basically saying that he don't care about what happened to slaves 300 years ago. And then when he was asked about this comment that he made during the debates, he gave a rather insensitive and apathetic answer. And Nina's response, just wow. Um, wow. I don't know. Listen, y'all. Almost in tears over this. Nah, I was like, I actually kind of was in tears, honestly, if I'm being real with you. And you'll see why. We're going to listen to it here. I'm going to play a good amount of the clip. I don't want to play all of it, but I definitely want to play enough that you can understand where she's coming from. Let's take a listen.
So I want to ask you about one particular answer from Vice President Biden. They asked him about what he said 40 years ago, and they clarified that it was 40 years ago. But they asked him about how he said, "I don't really care what happened 300 years ago," and let's be honest, he said it was in reference to what happened to African Americans 300 years ago. Now, instead of correcting that record or saying that he regrets those comments, he started talking about how we got to play record players to kids.
Yeah,
What did you?
Psychologists and poor parents need to be basically what I heard. Poor parents need to do a better job of raising their children, as if just being poor makes you not a good parent. I was highly offended by that as a black woman. I'm trying to keep cool, calm, and collected. That the vice president couldn't say that the slavery, Jim Crow, redlining, bigotry, institutional racism, and all the hell that black people have caught since our ancestors were brought to this country as slaves on ships is a scourge on this country. And I apologize for what I said 40 years ago. But no, instead, he just went down this path that made it even worse, Jenkins. It's just an insensitivity. And not only that, right here on the campus of a historically black college, he said those things about African Americans. We are the only group that Democrats like that can just, I'm trying not to curse here, who can just take advantage of us and just say any.
Listen, when have y'all ever heard? I've played plenty of clips from Nina on this show. When have y'all ever heard her get to the point where she's about to just start dropping the F-bomb? Like, start. Once again, y'all know how Nina Turner is a God-fearing woman. And when especially when she's talking about politics and people, or policies and people, her motto is hard on policy, soft on people. So for her to be getting this fired up, let's listen.
Old thing about us, our history, and the legacy of that slavery. And it's not just that it's what's happening to African Americans right now. There's a study out that says that it would take 228 years for the average black family to catch up to the wealth of the average white family if we stay on this course, if nothing changes. What that means is that it's never going to happen, that black people are being resigned to a future that says that we are never going to have wealth in this country, and that it doesn't matter if your parents have a college degree or whether or not your parents are wealthy or not. If you are black in this country,
Bruh.
that wealth that was made on the blood, sweat, the backs of chattel slavery in this country can never be undone. And you got a vice president that was totally, just totally numb to that. I mean, he just didn't care. I don't even know what the answer he gave. That one got to me a lot. You know, just as a black woman, has nothing to do with my support of my senator. This is me as a black woman in America to hear the former vice president who served under the first black president give such an asinine, senseless, and insensitive answer about the legacy of chattel slavery in this country.
Man, that's. Listen, y'all know me. And if you know Nina, she's the same way. We don't like to play the identity politics game that neoliberals like to play. Very rarely does Nina get on the television screen and just bring up black people, bring up, if you don't like this person, you're racist. If you don't like this person, you're a sexist. In fact, she's one of the few black women, with a large microphone, possibly the second largest microphone in the country, next to Bernie Sanders, of course, and will get on television and say, y'all are not going to sit here and pretend like racism started with Donald Trump. You're not going to sit here and pretend that every time someone doesn't like your politics that they hate your identity. Nina's the first one to call out this hypocrisy from the people who look just like we do. And like I said, Nina's also the same person that, like I said, her soft on people, hard on policy, soft on people. And that includes politicians that we don't like. I joke with her, I tell her, like, I'm gonna let you be soft on them because I gotta go hard. Somebody got to. But, but for her to be this worked up, you could see her experiences, her plight, what she has been through individually, which I'm sure she never really talks about. And she understands that the position she is in right now, former chairwoman of Our Revolution, successful organization, current co-chair of the Bernie Sanders campaign, clearly a successful campaign, largely in part due to Nina Turner being involved. She knows that she is not here because of the color of her skin. She is there in spite of the color of her skin. She had to overcome obstacle after obstacle after obstacle after another obstacle that many of us will probably never know about. And that is the codification of just about every black experience in America. Joe Biden is not fit to be the president of the United States. No, and by the way, that's not just for Joe Biden. Hillary Clinton, remember how she shrugged off the damage that her little campaign on super predators caused to the black community? Pete Buttigieg fires a black police chief because he tried to hold racist police in his department accountable. I don't know if y'all understand this, but half of the people we've had running for office in the Democratic Party specifically, let alone the Republican Party, but in the Democratic Party specifically, have been white supremacists. And one of the things that not only myself and Nina, but me and a lot of the black, progressive community talk about whenever we do have our conversations is this conversation that Nina is having right here. And good on Cenk for asking a good question and asking it to the right person. But this conversation that she is having, I know Cenk is hearing what she's saying. I know there are a lot of white people out there who are hearing what she is saying. But I seriously doubt they're listening. Because Nina wasn't the first person to say it. She won't be the last person to say it. Nina is not the first black woman to suffer and rise to prosperity in spite of it, hoping that other black women don't have to go down the same path. And she won't be the last one to make it to her spot in spite of the color of her skin. We've had these conversations. I've had people look at me in the face and tell me systemic racism isn't real when I've had run-ins with the corrupt criminal justice system where the police jumped me, put me in the hospital, kidnapped me in the hospital, forged an arrest affidavit. And the DA had the nerve to look at me when we get to the courtroom and try to ask me to make a plea deal. And once again, I just happened to be the only it was me and my friend, the only other black person or black male in the room. And my friend was the only other person who got arrested for trying to tell the police officers to stop and asking why he keeps pulling out his gun on me. Whether racism like that is overt, systemic racism, whether it's overt or whether it's subtle like what we saw from Joe Biden, We can't pretend it doesn't exist. And we absolutely cannot elect officials who refuse to acknowledge the history. If I stand in front of this camera every single day and beg and plead for the citizens of the United States to empathize with the human beings our country, our government, our military, the lives of those human beings, we're destroying them every single day. And I, as a black man who might not have as much of a connection to somebody from Syria, might not have as much of a connection to somebody from Brazil or Nicaragua or somewhere, it's irrelevant to me. I can ask you to feel that empathy about anybody else around the world. But the moment that people are asked to step back and look at the reality of our country, it all of a sudden becomes a controversial topic. Oh, why are we playing identity politics? I know that there are some people who weaponize identity politics, but Nina Turner is not one of them. That's what I'm trying to tell. This is why her speech was so passionate. It moved me to tears because she doesn't talk about this in this way, in this light, with anger towards, either Democrats or Republicans. She speaks of the general reality of systemic racism, but she never gets that emotional on camera because she's looking at Joe Biden like, this is the same party who swears they care about people of color. They swear they care about black people. They swear to God that black women are the backbone of the party. And she knows how the game goes. Somebody looked at Joe Biden and said, we don't care about his history with black people. We don't care about the 94 crime bill. We don't care. He's going to be the nominee. Black people, people of color, be damned. Nina is from an era where she saw black homes ravaged because of the 94 crime bill. As an adult, probably a lot of it hit her constituency. And so when you have a person running for president that can't even say, we have to acknowledge the realities of slavery. And we have to acknowledge the realities of Jim Crow. We have to acknowledge the realities of redlining. We have to acknowledge the reality that the Black Panthers were put on a terrorism watch list. The Black Panthers who served their community, taught people how to cook, hunt, took care of each other. Those people who never excluded a single white person who asked to be a part of it were put on the terrorism watch list. And that, believe it or not, greatly hurt our ability to organize. Because that was an organization they couldn't co-opt. The establishment couldn't. And so it had to be taken down. All of these issues have reverberating effects. And that's the overall point that Nina is trying to make. That if you can't even acknowledge the realities of the Black community, how could you possibly talk about enacting policies that are at bare minimum sensitive to the realities of the Black community, like making sure that 93% of public school funding isn't coming from property taxes, which is an inherently racist practice that was done on purpose? I mean, think about it, people. If you live in public housing and public, property taxes pay for your school, your houses don't usually look that good in public housing. So how good do you think your school is going to look? And how good do you think your teachers and all that good stuff is going to perform? Like, you can't even acknowledge, just be sensitive to the issues before you make policies. Unless you're Biden, you took advantage of the issues. You took advantage of the plight. You took advantage of the way that African Americans specifically are seeing this country when you pushed 94 crime bill. You knew exactly what happened. You and Bill Clinton. and you want to be president, we damn sure can't count on you to pass legislation that would benefit black people, that would significantly reduce the inequality in this country. You don't even care about reducing the inequality amongst poor white people and the wealthy or the super elite. We damn sure not about to vote for somebody like you who can't even take care of people that look like yourself. So you really ain't gonna take care of us. Biden has made it perfectly clear with a lot of his words in the past and in the present how he feels. And I 100% agree with Nina. 100%. It's sad that we even have to have this conversation. It really, really is. But we have to have it nonetheless. And I'm so thankful that Nina Turner is on Bernie's campaign. She's in that later on that interview. She even talks to him about reparations because, just believe it or not, for those of you who do not know, Nina is firmly in the camp of reparations. Obviously, her and Bernie don't agree on everything, but she shed some light in that interview that he is moving on reparations. And I'm assuming that has a lot to do with both, and because she said they were like literally talking about it yesterday or the day before that interview. And I'm assuming that has to do a lot with both Nina and Killer Mike and probably Cornel West as well. You have to put people around you who can help cover your blind spots, rather than putting Simone Sanders's people of that ilk around you just to pretend your blind spots don't exist. So thank you very, very much, Nina. Greatly appreciate, that just passionate, real interaction, that real, what we call real spill, if you will. Because that was, talk about a way to get your day started. I hope that gives you all some perspective. And always remember, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace. Hey, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you like that segment of Mikasa Sukasa. Also, you can help us upgrade the studio and take this show on the road to cover the on-the-ground politics that you love by clicking on that GoFundMe link in the description and donating literally anything. Anything helps. Also, you can follow us on Rockfin, on Twitter, and on Facebook as well. And hey, more than anything else, people, always remember, find your balance. Peace.